Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Akmal bin Mahbob and I'm from 4 BTMM Section 1. So today I want to present about my final year project. The title I choose is The Impact of Social Media Share Content on Protective Behavior Against COVID-19 Among Customers in Malaysia. Okay, in the first slide is background of study. Coronavirus disease 2019 is called by COVID-19 was first identified in Chinese Wuhan province in early December to become a global pandemic worldwide. Social media provide immediate disease-related information to share information between people in real time during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this study have shown that the association between social media access, risk perception at the personal level and protective behavior is resolved by fear and frustration, and the famous social media outlets such as Twitter, TikTok, YouTube and Facebook have contributed to educating people during the COVID-19 pandemic about steps prevent misinformation. Okay, the next slide is problem statement. Social media is now a place to disseminate misinformation and fake news rapidly. Many rumors and fake news reports are circulating about COVID-19. According to recent studies, fake news is becoming more difficult to discern from stories whose credibility should not be challenged. False information on health problem has been found to pose a probable danger to public health. The reasons for disclosing such false information have, however, been less well known. Okay, next is the research question that have 3 research questions. First, what is the impact of social media share content on protective behavior against COVID-19 among customers in Malaysia? Second, what are the customer perspective about social media share content on protective behavior during this COVID-19 pandemic? And third is what the factors affecting customer protective behavior when they use social media share content during COVID-19 pandemic. For the research objective, first, to identify the impact of social media share content on protective behavior against COVID-19 among customers in Malaysia. Second, to analyze the customer perspective about social media share content on protective behavior during this COVID-19 pandemic. And thirdly, to identify the factors affecting customer protective behavior when using social media share content during COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, the scope of study is focus on the impact of social media share content on protective behavior against COVID-19. This study is conducted among customers in Malaysia. Besides that, this study is to analyze the customer perspective about social media share content on protective behavior during this COVID-19 pandemic. In order to achieve the goals and objective for this study, the researcher need to identify the factors affecting customer using social media content during this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, next I will continue with the literature review. In the literature review that have dependent variables and independent variables. For the dependent variables is consumer protective behavior, and their key finding is the role of the media in influencing change, consumer patterns of behavior, and discretionary spending is increasingly important in our globalized world where technological advance have extended traditional domestic news stories to international audiences, such that the media has come to play a larger role in the promotion and intensification of consumer panic and anxiety. For the next is independent variables that have 6 independent variables. First is perceived severity. Perceived severity refers to a subject assessment of the severity of a health problem and its potential consequences. Perceived severity broadly includes beliefs about the disease itself as well as beliefs about its impact on the work and social roles relevant to the individual. Some study found that further distance between individuals and risk sources causes individuals to rate the risk a higher level. Second is a perceived risk. Perceived risk involves people's subjective assessment of the probability that possible negative consequences or diseases might might come up. Recent studies have shown that the social media will considerably influence people's sense of risk issues during the outbreak of public health emergencies. Okay, the third of the independent variables is social media fake news. Fake news as deliberately fabricated information that is circulated to misinform and deceive individuals into accepting liars or uncertain verifiable facts. Fake news is viewed as untrue information including myths, rumors, conspiracy theories, houses, as well as deceptive or erroneous content internationally or unintentionally disseminated on social media platforms. For its e-health literacy, it has been defined as the ability to seek, find, understand, and apprise health information from electronic sources and to apply the knowledge gained to addressing or solving health problems. Empirical studies have also found that e-health literacy positively influences health outcomes, such as health-promoting behaviors among people with diabetes. 5A. Public awareness. The social media information have a wide effect on the individuals and groups that connect to the online world to seek information for families, friends, and the general public. Non-pharmaceutical interventions such as quarantine and social distancing. Thus, the support of social media will be harnessed and to enhance the needed mobilization of the public and local communities to follow quarantine procedures, quickly decrease the spread of fears and uncertainty, and enhance public trust in public health measures. And lastly is scientist participation. Clinicians and researchers need citizens to be engaged in respecting the mitigation and containment norms to adequately deal and reduce the virus spread. Researchers need citizens to allow their real-time position tracking through apps and devices, thus making them the frontline data collector subjects. Okay, this is a theoretical framework. For the theoretical framework that have independent variable and dependent variable, in the independent variables that have threat appraisal and that have perceived severity, perceived risks, and social media fake news. For the coping appraisals is e-health literacy, public awareness, scientist participation. For the dependent variables is consumer protective behavior. Okay, the next slide is proposed hypothesis. For the hypothesis 1 is there is a significant relationship between perceived severity and consumer protective behavior. Hypothesis 2 is there is significant relationship between perceived risks and consumer protective behavior. The hypothesis 3 is there is a significant relationship between social media fake news and consumer protective behavior. Hypothesis 4 is there is a significant relationship between e-health literacy and consumer protective behavior. Hypothesis 5 is there is a significant relationship between public awareness and consumer protective behavior. And the hypothesis 6 is there is significant relationship between scientist participation and consumer protective behavior. Okay, the next slide is research methodology. For the research design that have exploratory research, explanatory research, and descriptive research. The research methodology, this research is involving quantity research design. For the data collection method, question A will be used to conduct this research. The question A could be in Google form and distribute to the respondent. The researcher using Likert scale from 1 to 5. For the demographic analysis, the demographic of the respondent based on their gender, race, age, educational level, occupation, and average time spent online per day. For the descriptive statistics, SPSS version 25 is used to analyze quantitative data in this study. There are 3 sections from this questionnaire, such as demographic profile is the section A, factors affecting protective behavior against COVID-19 is the section B, and consumer protective behavior is the section C, mean and standard deviation. For the multiple regression analysis, MRA, to know the strength of the significant relationship between independent variables and dependent variables, And lastly, is person correlation coefficient analysis. The researcher measure the strength of association between two quantitative variables. Okay, this is the research plan Gantt chart. This for the in the week 1, we do the journal article reading. In the week 2, identify research title. Week 3, selection of research title. Week 4, determination of RQ and RO. In week 5, information processing for chapter 1. Week 6, construct chapter 1. Week 7, information processing in chapter 2. Week 8, construct chapter 2. Week 9, revision and discussion with supervisor. Week 10, information processing in chapter 3. Week 11, construct chapter 3. In week 12, revision by supervisor. In week 13, preparation for PSM1 presentation. And in week 14, we presentation and submission of report for PSM1. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.